Our view of Scripture and the interpretation of it, the fundamental precepts by which we look at Scripture, have a direct impact on our belief and practice as professing and true followers of Christ. To begin, we should look at what the Scriptures have to say concerning themselves. Beginning in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17, Paul is instructing Timothy, a young pastor whom he's discipled, how to conduct his own life and how to shepherd the church of God. He writes, "All Scripture is God-breathed and is useful for instruction, for conviction, for correction, and for training in righteousness, so that the man of God may be complete, fully equipped for every good work." The word translated as God-breathed is theopneustos. That comes from the two Greek words theos, meaning God, and pneu, which means to breathe. It is a hapax legomenon, meaning it is a word that's used once and once only in the corpus of the New Testament. And so, what does that mean for the Scriptures to be God-breathed? That is to say, to what degree is the Scripture inspired? Was every word? Is it just the main ideas and themes? Is there error in the literal language? What degree is the Scripture inspired? Is there anything in the Bible itself that tells us what the apostles or prophets or Christ had to say? There's actually plenty. And we see this evidenced, for instance, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 23 through 33. Just to give it context, the same day the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him, that is Jesus, and asked him, saying, "Teacher, Moses said that if a man dies, having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now, there were with us 7 brothers. The first died after he had married, and, leaving him no offspring, left his wife to his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third even to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had her." Jesus answered and said to them, "You are mistaken, not knowing the Scriptures, nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken to you by God, saying, 'I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? God is not the God of the dead, but of the living." And when the multitudes heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. If you look at the argument Christ presents in contending with the denial of the resurrection, he focuses on the conjugation of the word to be. I am, rather than I was, the God of Abraham. And says, since he is the God of Abraham and God is not the God of the dead, therefore Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are still alive. And you can see even the Sadducees held to the same high view of Scripture, since they were silenced after this. And even the multitudes were astonished, meaning they found this to be a valid argument. Furthermore, Christ says in Matthew 12:40, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." He didn't take that the writing in Jonah was something allegorized, that it was some sort of mythological fable common in the Middle East. No, but he takes it literally. And I don't think anyone contends that Jesus was literally dead for 3 days. "Do not think that I came to destroy the law of the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled." Now, he's using the most granular language here. The jot, or iota in Greek, refers to the Hebrew letter yod. It's the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And the tittle there is not even a letter, it's an artistic embellishment. And so what he's saying is even the smallest letter was given by God, that he views it with such esteem that he says that even the letter, to the very letter, will be fulfilled. And we can see that type of view was passed on to Paul, a disciple of Christ, later after having seen Jesus in Damascus appear to him. Of course, Jesus had been ascended to heaven for quite some time by that point. Paul writes in Galatians chapter 3, when he's referring to God's promise to Abraham. He says, "Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He does not say, and to seeds, as of many, but as of one, and to your seed, who is Christ." So he predicates his entire argument here in Galatians chapter 3 on the singularity of the word zera in Hebrew, as opposed to the plural form. And he's saying because God wrote this to Abraham's seed rather than seeds, he's referring to one singular person, Jesus. Now, if he had taken on the idea that there was some sort of license or even that the scriptures inspire, but not at that granular detail, he could not have made that argument. And even if we look at the fulfillment of prophecy in the New Testament, Zechariah 9:9, that the Messiah will be literally riding on a donkey. Anyone could have looked at that verse and said, well, this is just a symbol. It's not literally going to happen that way. He's going to be lowly. But Jesus comes literally riding on a donkey. When Micah says that Bethlehem Ephratah, a very specific town, there are a couple different Bethlehems, he says the specific Bethlehem. He says there's going to come someone whose going forths are from eternity. He could say, well, this is this person who's just followed the ancient way of the Torah. No, it means literally someone who has existed forever. And so on and so forth. The Zechariah 11, which Matthew alludes to under the general major prophet Jeremiah, Zechariah being incorporated in that, in the rabbinic kind of tradition of referring to minor prophets using the major prophet. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, that princely price that they set on me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver, threw them in the house of the Lord for the potter, right, the potter's field. All these prophecies are fulfilled not allegorically, symbolically, or spiritually, but literally. And so I'll just stop there. Anything, if we have a contention about various aspects of Scripture, if we're looking at what are the roles of women in the church, what is our view of eschatology on Christ's return, if we don't begin with the foundation of what our view of Scripture is, if we don't share Christ's view of having this high understanding of the very letters being inspired, we can't understand the Scriptures as they are intended to be understood. And so I'll stop there. Thank you so much for watching.